Good morning, everybody. Welcome. And thanks for coming in on this cold morning. I hear it's cold there. It's also cold here where I am in Flagstaff. It's 18 degrees. Let's start this morning with the opening words by Burton D. Carley. We gather on this Sabbath morn to worship in spirit and truth, to raise a joyful noise to the eternal mystery, to reconfirm our covenant to seek wisdom and love, to strengthen our commitment to the common good. We come from many paths to explore that which is hidden, to consider the ways of our hearts, to confess how we have stumbled, to heal what is broken. We assemble in the effort to quicken our compassion and mercy, to deepen our understanding, to renew our courage, to remember who we are. Thus, we do celebrate the grace and gift of life and the practice of our faith to the greater glory of the Spirit. And will you join me in the words for lighting of the chalice, which are written in your order of service? May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. And our first hymn this morning is number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Okay, let me give it a go today. God of the earth, the sky, the sea, maker of all above, below, creation lives and moves in you. Your present life, the wall does flow. Now you're on your own.
I'm not sure if we are on the same page as far as the responsive reading is today. Do you have one written in your order of service? We are known in community, or no? Because we got a little mixed up this morning.
I think I
No.
printed the responsive reading.
Did, okay. So we who have no all-knowing deity to whom to regulate all the heartbreaks and complexities of human hatreds often feel alone. We who are not sure of what is larger than us are sometimes left with a sense of burden when the world is troubled. We witness the voices of generations raised in opposition to one another. Our hope is to be open to new wisdoms and ancient truths. We are known in community. May we continue to strive to know one another in community. Ours is a spiritual community where we find and forge connection. We trust in the strength of our mutual support, knowing how it has sustained us day after day, year after year. Each week, we invite you to come up and share any joyful or sorrowful news that has come into your life, and to light a candle in honor of that event or the person that has affected you. Would someone like to start us off with our joys and concerns today? I'm not seeing anything moving today, so I don't know how things are going with you.
Hey, I wanted to say
Now I can see something, yes.
We must have dropped out.
My 3 children are here from all over the country, Seattle and Maine, and then Niagara Falls or Lewiston. So it's been a wonderful 5 days. We'll lose them as soon as the football game's over today.
Well, it's good that at least they're staying for the football game. Are there any more joys and concerns? I don't see any more. So our candles remind us that here we are kindred souls. We are never alone in the human condition. There is love that cares for us all. And maybe someone would like to just light a candle for all of the unspoken joys and concerns among us. Thanks, Bill. As we approach the time to take the offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, the church that has meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to people who you will never know. Give what you will, for we know we are a generous people. We have a meditation reading this morning, which was written by Meg Barnhouse. It is called Brick by Brick. All summer, workers have been building a brick wall along the road by my neighborhood. Against the brutal heat, they stretch a tarp overhead to get a little bit of shade. I've watched them take bricks in their dusty brown hands, one by one, butter them thickly with mortar, line them up and tap them down, row by row. One man, who looks to be in his 70s, is the leader. His skin is the color of bittersweet chocolate. His beard is gray. Slender and tall, he moves from one group of bricklayers to the next, reaching and bending, looking like a heron in a marsh. When he pauses, he stands very straight. I see him teach the others how to do the work. He stoops over to look at a line of bricks, hands on his thighs, inspecting the work. Sometimes as I drive by, I see him put his hand on the back of the person that he's teaching. Often they are both smiling. He looks like he loves what he's doing. I wonder how he can love building walls day after day, handling bricks, teaching the art of laying bricks. Is it the teaching he loves? Seeing how his students learn, what their styles are, how their work shows their character. Does he love the wall itself? Does he know about when it'll be done? Does he look forward to seeing it finished? Or does he love the process, the feel of the bricks in his hands, the squish of the mortar, the challenge of making the symmetry of pillars and arches, the geometry of it all? I think from the look on his face that he loves the process. I imagine he never thinks about the end of the project, the completion of the wall. I think he will go on to the next wall, as if it were just a continuation of this one, and then the next one and the next one, and never be bored. I want to be like that, and I am, I guess, in my job as a minister. The bricks are stories. I hear stories of family and work, stories of loss and reconciliation, stories of rejection and disaster, illness and healing, birthing and dying. I tell stories every Sunday, and in between, teaching, challenging, confessing, inviting people to learn, to laugh, and think. Brick by brick, story by story, we build a church, seeing the patterns, the symmetry, the plain joy of setting one story on top of another, sustained by the strong and beautiful structures they make. We will never be finished. And let's take a moment of silence to meditate on that before we start the sermon. So I know we're all familiar with the saying, we make plans and God laughs. But have you heard the quote by Winston Churchill? Plans are useless, but planning is invaluable. It seems to me that that quote should be just as well known as the first one. Plans, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. What I have found to be the one critical thing about planning is that I have to maintain flexibility, because inevitably things will change. If you have a plan A, you'd better also have a plan B, which is the one you're going to fall back on. In fact, most of the time, it looks like we might as well have started with Plan B to begin with. As we all know, the universe provides, although sometimes we'd prefer it did not. And this week, the universe provided me with a perfect example of planning gone awry. And for the usual reason. We humans just don't have as much control over things as we think we do. My son and his partner, Kara, have a lovely 20-month-old, and they were expecting their second on December 31st, or thereabouts. By Tuesday of this past week, number 2, whose name is Nora, had still not made her appearance, putting her mother at almost 42 weeks pregnant. The plan was to deliver Nora the same way her sister Willow had been born, a plan that makes me nervous, but you can't say anything. The plan was to have her born at home in a warm pool of water with dim lights, calm music, under the guidance of her dad and a midwife. The fact that she was running so late was no surprise to me. Her father was 3 weeks late coming into this world and then had to be induced. These days, however, medical personnel rarely let pregnancies go more than 41 weeks, and the midwife who had been caring for Kara would be unable to deliver if she went past the 42-week deadline. Plan A for Nora's birth was looking pretty fragile. As Churchill says, we live like hungry fishermen, sowing and casting our nets, though we never really know what we will catch, never really know what will feed us until it is brought aboard. We so want to have control, and we so do not have control. Why then is it worth making plans? Well, we all have days when we don't feel like getting up, going out in the cold, damp morning to mend the nets, and then going out on the water to fish, or whatever our personal equivalent to that is. In my world, I have days where I'm in brain fog. The last thing I want to do is sit down and write a sermon. My whole body seems to feel that I'm not moving through air, I'm swimming in some sort of thick mud. Am I going to get to yoga? Am I going to walk the dog? But also in my world, I have deadlines. I can't just slough off for more than a day or two. How do we keep going when we hit these rough patches? Polly Campbell, who is the host of Polly Campbell Simply Said podcasts and the author of 3 books, including How to Live an Awesome Life and Imperfect Spirituality, writes, planfulness, which according to researchers is an aspect of conscientiousness, might be the quality that helps us succeed at our goals. My kids mock me out all the time for having every day filled with some sort of plan. Yes, that's me. I cannot remember getting a report card in school that didn't have the word conscientious in the comment section. But according to Polly, it's just part of my psyche. And for most of us to succeed in life, we need it. We need this planfulness. Having a plan, which for me includes getting to yoga at least twice a week and walking the dog every day, the plan is what keeps me going, even when I'm not feeling it, even when I'm having those days when I feel like I'm just trying to move through a mud puddle. The typical lifetime of a New Year's resolution is 2 weeks, which is just about where we are right now. We have good intentions, but a resolution is not a plan. It's just a resolution. A plan has structure, a timeline, and a goal. Once a plan is in place, we don't have to decide whether or not we're going to do something. We might still decide when we're going to fit the something into our schedule, but our minds are set on doing it. Typically, I try to go to yoga on Monday and Wednesday mornings. But if I have something else going on one of those days, I can just look at the yoga schedule and decide when I'm going to fit yoga in that week. That's plan B. If I didn't have that option, as conscientious as I am, I might not stick to the plan. Planning seems like something that you just do in business to get somewhere in your work. Or maybe you do it as part of your lifetime. You set goals to reach the different stages of life. Get the training or education that we need to form a career, save the money we need to move out on our own, buy a house, get a new car, find a relationship partner. Those kinds of plans satisfy 4 criteria, according to Michael Wilkinson, CEO and Managing Director of Leadership Strategies, Inc. Plans, he says, give us direction. They can be communicated to other people in our lives so that everyone knows what direction we've chosen. They simplify decision-making, like my yoga plan, and they help keep us focused on our priorities. Life, though, throws us curveballs. One of my clients recently told me how he felt he got detoured from getting into law school and starting his law career by the years that he took off between each step. But during those detours, he learned a lot about life that he might not have learned otherwise. The detours, however, did not make him lose sight of his plan. During the detours, his priorities were still clear in his mind, making it possible to take the lessons that he was learning and apply them to the life he ultimately wanted to lead. I don't think I realized the importance of a plan or life goals until I was in my late 20s. My parents weren't good planners and they didn't teach us to plan, other than to meet the challenges that sat immediately in front of us. This meant, though, that we didn't have time to consider all the options and make the best choices. We took the path of least resistance. In the end, it all added up to life experience, similar to my client. It was experience that was useful, but there were times that I could definitely have been more focused on my priorities and priorities that would have been a better fit for my values. If we look at everything in life, our family, career, friendships, events such as education and travel, as the experiences that all feed into our spirituality, then we recognize that whatever planning we do must include the spiritual side of ourselves. Without our spirituality, we are not our authentic, true selves. But if it's difficult to find time to exercise, as Polly Campbell found, then how do we find time for spirituality? It's fine to say you are spiritual, but if you don't have any spiritual practices, then you're shortchanging yourself in that area. Spiritual practices can take time, like the time that you have taken to come to church each week. It's not easy for families where both partners work and there's a household and probably children to look after to set aside even a couple of hours for some sort of spiritual practice, which is one reason that spiritual practice has to become a part of your plan. And the plan has to include activities and experiences that contribute to your well-being, even though they are not limited to spirituality. So going for a walk, spending time in nature, doing yoga, reading, listening to music or a podcast, all of these can be part of your life plan and at the same time can contribute a spiritual footnote to your day. Some people are great planners throughout their lives until they get to retirement. Then they drop the ball. For some reason, people think of retirement as free time. They are free at last, free at last. They can spend all of their time playing golf or pickleball or traveling or watching TV. Well, I can tell you, life becomes pretty empty if that's the extent of your plans. Planning should also give us purpose and meaning. It should lead us to touch the lives of others. It is that touching that feeds the spiritual parts of ourselves. It is the fulfillment of knowing you did something this day or this week to make someone else's life better. Mark Nepo, author of the Book of Awakening, says that when he sets out to write something, he has a plan, but what he envisions is never quite what ends up on the page. I get that. I see it in my life, in my writing, and in the lives of others. Nepo reports, though, that for him, the most meaningful job experiences have been the result of seizing heartfelt opportunities that appeared along the way. Heartfelt. What a great word. Topics or events or experiences that are heartfelt are the ones that mean the most to us. These are the opportunities leading us to a spiritual path that is truly authentic. If your heart is not in your plan isn't going to lead you where you want to go or need to be. Meg Barnhouse says of her bricklayer, I think from the look on his face that he loves the process. I imagine that he never thinks about the end of the project, the completion of the wall. I think he will go on to the next wall as if it were just a continuation of this one, then the next one and the next, and never be bored. The bricklayer's work is heartfelt. It's part of a life plan that is heartfelt, and it feeds his spirit. He is happy in his life's work, building perfect walls that have a purpose and have beauty. I like the way Mark Nepo describes the essential usefulness of planning. Plans are kindling to every fire, and no two fires are the same. We just need their heat and light. We do need their heat and light. It's so easy to get hung up on sticking to a plan, even when it's no longer practical or useful. My son and his partner, Kara, didn't want to have to choose their baby's birthday. They felt she should come naturally. They wanted a water birth in a birthing pool, and they were all prepared for that, right down to making sure that their hot water tank would provide enough of the right temperature water. But because baby Nora was so late, the midwife who was to attend the birth at their home wouldn't do so if Kara went over the 42 weeks. So she gave them a choice. It was castor oil or the hospital. Neither one sounds very good. If the oil didn't work, then there was no choice. They would have to go to the hospital because the baby would need to be induced. They had to choose the baby's birthday. They went with the castor oil, and old midwife's remedy. It worked so quickly they didn't even have time for the birthing pool. But all's well that ends well. They ended up with plan B, which at least was better for them than plan C, and everyone is healthy. Nora weighed 9 pounds 6 ounces, 2 more pounds than her older sister. So it was a good thing she had a deadline, because she may never have been ready to be born, and she was just in there fattening herself up for the winter. Yes, Churchill was right. Plans are useless, but planning is invaluable. We never know if our plans are going to come to fruition, but having a plan keeps us motivated, gives meaning and purpose to our lives, and contributes to our spirituality. We need the heat and light kindled by our plans. So be it, and blessed be. Will you join me in singing the final hymn, which Patty has prepared for us?
You know what? I just noticed that what I put up there and what's on the page was backwards. So
Yeah.
I think we sang 25 first, right?
Mm-hmm. We did it vice versa.
And now we're going to do 34.
Okay.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Well, Teresa, that sounded wonderful.
Do we have any announcements?
I do have one. Linda was supposed to be doing a presentation today at 12:30, but I haven't seen her, so I don't know if she's running late. We'll find out, I guess, during coffee hour.
Are there any others? No? Okay. Our closing words come to us from Rebecca Savage. As we end our time together today in spiritual community, may we depart this sacred space, knowing that blessings shall follow us all of the days of our lives, if we live in and return to right relationships, if we extend grace and forgiveness to ourselves and others, if we behold mercy as a spiritual superpower, if we emanate the greater love that holds us close. May our lives radiate the blessings that we have been given. May kindness and compassion fall gently from us. May there be peace in the world, and may it begin with us. Will you join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Gosh, today just brought so much joy to me. Thank you. So, Tracy, we're going to do hymn number 1 once again.
Oh,
First and third verse, because I'm not right back up to where I want to be yet.
Thank you, Patty, and I hope the game goes well today and everybody has a great day. And I will see you in a month. Whoops.